Good morning, students. I hope you like the video lectures presented by me. Subscribe my YouTube channel for more updates. Feel free to give suggestions and ask doubts on Google Classroom. Today I am going to cover our next poetry lesson, that is 1.3, The Inchcape Rock by Robert Southey. He was one of the most famous poets of England. He has written various poems and his poems are famous among school children. Today we are going to learn a new type of poetry, the Inchcape Rock. It is a ballad, means a long narrative poem. It usually tells a story. It is passed down orally, that is, it is passed down by oral tradition. And there are various examples of these ballads. Now, when you talk about the Indian mythology, there are so many such ballads which are written and which are sung alongside while we worship our gods, our religion. Now, one of the famous that I will like to quote over here is the Hanuman Chalisa. If you know that Hanuman Chalisa comprises of several verses and several lines, and it is sung by so many Hindu people every day while they worship God. Now, it is it is chanted to worship the monkey god Hanuman, and it describes all his power and his worship towards Lord Ram. So similarly over here, Robert Southey tells us about the legendary story of a pirate named Ralph who fell in his own pit. Now, falling in his own pit means what? That you fall in your own trap. Now, how did he fall in his own trap? So what did he do? He removed the bell installed on the Inchcape Rock by a noble person known by the name Abbot of Aberbrothock. This Inchcape Rock is a reef near the coast of Scotland, and it is known for its ruthless behavior, that is, causing ships to crash into the reef and sink into the ocean where evil lurks. So, let's start with the poem. First, I will narrate the entire poem to you and then explain its stanza. Inchcape Rock by Robert Southey. No stir in the air, no stir in the sea. The ship was still as she would be. Her sails from heaven received no motion. Her keel was steady in the ocean. Without either sign or sound of their shock, the waves flowed over the Inchcape Rock. So little they rose, so little they fell, they did not move the Inchcape bell. The worthy abbot of Aberbrothock had raised that on the Inchcape Rock. On a buoy in the storm, it floated and swung, and over the waves its warning rung. When the rock was hit by the surge's swell, the mariners heard the warning bell, and then they knew the perilous rock and blessed the Abbot of Aberbrothock. The sun in the heaven was shining gay. All things were joyful on that day. The seabirds screamed as they wheeled around, and there was joyance in their sound. The buoy of the Inchcape bell was seen a darker speck on the ocean green. Sir Ralph, the rover, walked his deck and fixed his eye on the darker speck. He felt the cheering power of spring. It made him whistle, it made him sing. His heart was breathful to excess, but the rover's breath was wickedness. His eye was on the Inchcape float. Quoth he, "My men, put out the boat and row me to the Inchcape Rock, and I will plague the Abbot of Aberbrothock." The boat is lowered, the boatmen row, and to the Inchcape Rock they go. Sir Ralph bent over from the boat, and he cut the bell from the Inchcape float. Down sank the bell with a gurgling sound. The bubbles rose and burst around. Quoth Sir Ralph, "The next who comes to the rock won't bless the Abbot of Aberbrothock." Sir Ralph the Rover sailed away. He scoured the seas for many a day, and now grown rich with plundered store, he steers his course for Scotland's shore. So thick a haze overspreads the sky, they cannot see the sun on high. The wind hath blown a gale all day, at evening it hath died away. On the deck the rover takes his stand, so dark it is they see no land. Quoth Sir Ralph, "It will be lighter soon, for there is the dawn of the rising moon." "Canst hear," said one, "the breakers roar? For methinks we should be near the shore. Now, where we are I cannot tell, but I wish we could see the Inchcape Bell. They hear no sound, the swell is strong, though the wind hath fallen, they drift along, till the vessels strike with a shivering shock. O Christ, it is the Inchcape Rock." Sir Ralph the Rover tore his hair, he crushed himself in his despair. The waves rush in on every side, the ship is sinking beneath the tide. But even in his dying fear, one dreadful sound could the rover hear. A sound as if with the Inchcape Bell, the devil below was ringing his knell. In the first stanza of the poem, the poet describes the calmness of the sea. The air, the sea, the ship, all were still. The sails of the ship were getting no motion from the wind. Its keel was steady in the ocean. In the second stanza, the poet describes the mild sea waves. The waves were rising and falling so little that they did not make any sign or sound. The waves were gently flowing over the Inchcape Rock without moving or ringing the bell. The third stanza is about the bell. The good old Abbot of Aberbrothock positioned the Inchcape Bell there on the Inchcape Rock. During the storm, it floated on the buoy and rang widely, swung by the high tides to alert everyone that the dangerous rock was there. In the next 4 lines, the poet tells us how the bell guided the marine in the bad weather. The seamen could not see the rock as it stayed hidden under the high waves during the storms, but they could hear the ringing bell and went away from the perilous, dangerous rock, so the bell saved their lives. Then the seafarers blessed the abbot of his good job. The fifth stanza delivers a cheerful atmosphere, as it generally happens before every disaster. On a particular bright day, everything looked joyful. The seabirds were whirling over the sea and screaming in joy. In the sixth stanza of the poem, Sir Ralph is introduced for the first time. On that fine day, the buoy, an anchored floating sign to show the reef on the Inchcape Rock, was clearly visible, as it was a blackish spot in the green ocean. Sir Ralph the Rover went onto the deck of his vessel and gazed at the dark spot of the buoy. The next stanza deals with Ralph's feeling and thoughts. He was delighted at the good spring atmosphere. It was making whistling sounds and singing in joy. He was actually overjoyed. But no one knew that a sinful thought in his mind was behind this happiness. In the eighth stanza, the rover himself speaks and reveals his desire. His eyes were fixed on the floating buoy on the Inchcape Rock. Sir Ralph the Rover ordered his crew to take the boat to the Inchcape Rock. Then he says that he is going to plague, kill or destroy the good work of the Abbot of Aberbrothock. The ninth stanza describes that the rover's men took the boat to the Inchcape Rock. There he bent over the boat and cut the bell from the rock. The next stanza pictures how the bell was sinking down, making bubbling sound. Bubbles rose and burst around. Sir Ralph was happy, thinking that the bell would save no more ships and the seamen would no longer blaze the abbot. Sir Ralph the Rover then sailed away from the rock. Thereafter, he had robbed and looted many ships which met accidents, crashing to the Inchcape Rock. He is now a rich man with all the looted treasures, and today he is going to Scotland shore with his ship. The 12th stanza describes the gloomy atmosphere on the day the rover is sailing to Scotland. The sun is hidden behind the thick fog. Strong winds were blowing all the day, and now in the evening it has stopped blowing. The next 4 lines continues the gloom. The rover is now on the deck of his ship. They can't see land as it is very dark. Sir Ralph assures that the moon will appear soon, and so there will be light. In the 14th stanza, one of Ralph's men says that he hears the roaring sound of the waves breaking against something, so he hopes they should be near the shore. He also regrets that the Inchcape Bell is no more, as it could guide them in this situation. But no sound was there. The tides were strong. The rover and his team are drifting along with the ship. Suddenly the vessel gets a jerking. They all realize the vessel has hit the Inchcape Rock. Sir Ralph the Rover pulls his hairs in frustration. He curses himself for his evil deeds. Meanwhile, the water fills in every corner of the vessel and it starts sinking in the sea. In the last stanza of the poem, as the rover is dying, he hears a sound like the ringing of the Inchcape bell. It was actually his death knell that the devil himself was ringing beneath the water. Thus the rover gets punishment for his sinful works. Robert Southey is a poet who always delivers a teaching thought through his poems. This too is not an exception. Okay, so students over here, you can notice that whatever you are going to do, you are going to get the same thing in back. Whether you are going to do good, the good will come to you. If you are going to do bad, the bad is going to come back to you. So always mind your ways. Always try to live a good life, a willful life, a life which is full of blessings, a life which is full of positivity. If you are going to plan something evil for someone else, you are going to yourself going to fall in that particular pit that you have digged for someone else. So do not think bad of someone, and definitely good things will radiate back to you, good things will come to you, and you will become a person who is going to help others. Likewise, so students, I hope you must have liked today's lecture. If there is anything that you need to discuss with me, you can definitely message me on the Google Classroom. I hope you must have enjoyed the lecture. Thanks for your cooperation.